Hi and welcome back. I'm Richard Lewis, your host for the Gfinity Starcraft Spring Masters 2. With me as always is the Muslim, just chilling here, looking beautiful. And now we've brought in another beautiful man, just to show us both up. It is of course Kaldor joining us here. How are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, really good. Like, had fun with the first match, casting with Roddy there, and then watching the last series, of course. Player area is pretty cool. Nearly fell asleep on one of those beanbags.
That's good. Yeah, the life of a caster, people. Anyway, just before we get into it, we're going to quickly bring up some brackets for you guys at home so you can see how the tournament's taking shape while it's underway. So here we go. We already know about the sad end of Berlin. Kaldor, since it's your our guest, why don't you take us through these games quickly and what it all means? You can see SOS is obviously through.
Yeah, SOS is already through, and that means that we have Starcraft later on then in the match against U-Thermal. For Bling, of course, it was a bit unfortunate to also lose to U-Thermal like this. But apparently, the Terran player really prepared a whole lot also for his WCS games and was just like in the zone already for the matchup. Against Starscream, of course, it's going to be extremely tricky for him. He already lost in the first round against the same player, didn't take him up there, and it was also a very, very fast series. So maybe with that knowledge from what happened in those games, he now has a strategy that can bring him back into it. But it's definitely going to be a very, very difficult task.
We're also going to show you how the bracket's been panning out from Group A. We'll quickly bring that up on screen for you. There you go. You can see, obviously, Hyun triumphed over Showtime. So his reward, if it can be called, will be to sort of play the loser from Jaedong True. Again, Ben, just a few thoughts on these particular matchups.
Yeah, I mean, like True and Hyun have already played, and True went through 2-0. Jaedong was known as the best ZVZ in the world. Yes. Like it was even recalled JVZ for a while. Whether he's still up to that is a big question, because this was over a year ago, you know. But that being said, going up against the loser of True and Jaedong doesn't get easier for Hyun, but also for the loser of them going up against Hyun. It's not an easy task for them either. So
no,
yeah,
that is true. That is very true. Now we can look at the head-to-head record. Obviously, we're going to be going into the Jaedong True game, and this is from obviously 2014. There it is, fairly comprehensive for Jaedong. But of course, that was Jaedong when he was in his real good patch. You know, right. That was when he was the dominant force. So with such a flimsy head-to-head record, I mean, what can we really glean from this? Can we make any bold predictions?
I personally think that Drew is going to take it here. I mean, I agree with like everything that Ben just said, but I feel like right now Jaedong is a bit on the down, and he was saying earlier or yesterday that he didn't really practice as much as we were hoping for. I mean, it's really difficult to judge, I feel. You were talking on the first day already about his visa issues, that is finally everything is resolved, and I feel when he attended Copenhagen and also last Gfinity, that played a role. We saw him early at breakfast, pulling myself, like trying to sort everything out, and of course that's always in the back of your head at some point, so that really affects your performance. But I feel like I think True has a really good shot here, and even though I would love Jaedong personally to advance because he's such a nice guy, yeah. He's a symbol as well, and he's just the guy that you want to have in the later runs of the tournament. I think that he's going to have a pretty tough time against True.
That's it. So Kaldor's leaning towards True. Quickly, Ben, who are you leaning for? Are you going to back your old EG wingmate?
My homeboy. You know, he was one of the nicest teammates to have. Like, he was speaking good English.
That's weird, because he doesn't say the same about you.
Well, doesn't probably talk to you, Richard, you nasty git. But no, I actually, it's a really tough one to call. Like, the fact that True has already beaten Hyun 2-0, that surprised me a little bit. I didn't think it was going to be so one-sided, yeah. But Jaedong, ZVZ, I think this is a matchup that doesn't just fade away in your mind. You know, this is one that comes down to raw mechanics. And is there anyone better than Jaedong than that? Very few.
Okay, well, thanks for your thoughts. Obviously, we'll come back and talk about that game some more. But without any further ado, we better get the game underway. So we're going to throw out our casters now. We're going to bring you Jaedong versus True. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, Richard. And we are here getting ready to go into this ZVZ. And just as the analyst desk was saying, JVZ. Is that what we're going to see today, or?
Well, you know what, Maddles? That's always the question on everybody's mind, isn't it? I mean, Jaedong, there can be no denying it. There were the days of JVZ, and then he slipped off of it a little bit. And couple that with True also being in a situation where he's come off a 2-0 ZVZ as well, does put True in a very strong position. But like the analyst desk mentioned, the ZVZ is not the kind of matchup where, you just suddenly forget it. It comes so much down to your ability and raw mechanics. If Jaedong woke up on the right side of bed this morning, he can take it. I can also see True taking it, so we'll see.
But we do have the map vetoes up now, so let's take a look at these and where we're going to be playing. So we had Cactus, Coda, Inferno, and Vanny vetoed out. and Echo, Expedition, and Iron Fortress left. So Iron Fortress has been pretty much a staple. Echo again. Vanny being vetoed out. What do you think to that?
Well, I wonder if True just sort of wants to play on some of the kind of larger maps we have here, because we have the map order here. We can see Iron Fortress, just lots of space to sort of play around, lots of dynamic play. Exhibition lost as well, lots of nice open space in the middle to play around with too. And then finally finishing up maybe a little bit more in terms of constricted pathways as far as Echo is concerned, but also in a mirror matchup. I guess this matters a lot less than you would normally expect, and it's going to be interesting to see which of these players is going to come out on top here, because we're in game number 1, ladies and gents. It's on Iron Fortress, and spawning in the top left position, representing evil geniuses in the blue colors, the Tyrant himself. Ladies and gents, it's Jaedong. Is he going to relish a brand of JVZ against the player in the top right? He's going to have to bring his A game, because 2-0ing his previous Zerg opponent, representing Dead Pixels in the top right, the red player. It's True.
Now, you've got to be going into this with quite a lot of confidence. If you just come out 2-0 in a ZVZ, you're going to be sitting there, you're going to be feeling pretty on fire, ready to go, and both of these two already getting some early information, seeing that they're in the cross spawns, the Overlords bumped heads, both going for this hatch first opening. First little bit of differentiation between these two. We've got a slightly earlier gas from True, but Jaedong, he's just following up with the same thing. So these two both following really pretty normal patterns, to be honest. Nothing crazy to write home on. And on a large map like Iron Fortress, going for this hatch first is pretty damn standard.
Yeah, going into that kind of macro game, sort of middle of the road kind of just build where you want to make sure you get as many drones out as possible. Your best case scenario is always knowing what your opponent's doing and doing exactly what they do a little bit later so you can squeeze a couple more drones out. That's always going to be just such a good place to be. But of course, these players can't constantly see what each other's doing. Once the queens come out, the overlords get pushed away to the sides of the bases, and then it becomes a little bit more guesswork and scouting, and that's really where the dicing actually starts coming into play.
Now, of course, these two, they're both ultimately aiming to get that Gfinity trophy, get that top spot, and I think both of these two are in the running for it. Jaedong, he's definitely someone who, if he's on form, if he's playing well, he can go very deep into the tournament. He can win a tournament, and is that going to be a big drive for them, wanting to get there? Jaedong, every single major event, he sit there and it's like, this is the one in 2015, this is the one when he's going to come back.
It's a different dynamic here as well, because I just sat here with Roddy, we did MC Heart, and that was a loser's game, right? You're still trying to get into the final match of the group. It's a really tough position to be in. The winner of this best of 3 is guaranteed a spot in the final 8, in the knockout phases. They are going to have one eye. However much they deny it, they're going to be looking at that trophy and thinking, actually, I'm in the running for this tomorrow if I win this best of 3. So high stakes here. Of course, there's another chance if they end up losing. They can always go back into the final match. But I think these guys are definitely focused and, like you say, full of confidence moving forward here.
Well, you get a good boost if you win the group. It means that you get a slightly easier, in theory, first round game, but in the bracket. So there's a lot of on the line here, even though you're not risking elimination from the tournament. Just the sheer fact that you finish top of the group and get a better seed going into that knockout stage, it's going to be obviously something very, very worthwhile playing for. Now, in terms of the opening at the moment, still these two just putting along. We've got Speed about to finish up now for True, so he's going to be able to just get a little bit of vision out on the map. Overlord positioning is great on both sides, although we do actually have an Overlord getting taken down here by True. He's taking 2 queens quite a long way forward.
Yeah.
This is a bit frustrating. Jaedong will get supply blocked by this.
Yeah, he will indeed. The layer starting for him as well. That gets scouted by the Zergling going in. So a nice little bit of information, and like you say, Jaedong getting supply blocked by True, a little bit frustrating. So I guess a tiny advantage, if you like, in that respect to True. But he's going to be responding with going for his own third, and Jaedong has an Overlord right where it can immediately be seen.
He's also got a Roach Warren coming on through, and that lair, and that Evo Chamber. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Jaedong respond to this with quite a lot of Roach pressures, +1, maybe Roach speed as well, just trying to cancel that, because at the moment, True has got a great economy. He's obviously got that third base coming through a lot earlier, and that's going to be very important. Jaedong has also skipped Zergling speed, and that means that he's able to get down that lair earlier, able to get the Roach Run down earlier, able to get the +1 missile attack down earlier. So Jaedong really committing quite a lot to this Roach play.
True's basically, I think his queens have a little bit of identity crisis here. He's actually taking out Overlords, really trying to hamper Jaedong's progression in this game. Now look at where these queens are on the minimap, guys. They're basically in Jaedong's base right now. He's almost on Jaedong's creep. This is not something you see every day in a ZVZ, and True right now, he's really looking to just confine Jaedong to 2 bases as long as possible, keep his suppliers down as far as possible, and say, look, I can see you're getting the Lair, I can see you're getting the Roach Warren, I need to delay this as much as I can.
Jorisov, this is actually fantastic for True, because even though he's come out a long way, he's going to lose those queens. He's massively supplied Jaedong, and while Roaches are super good, the downside to them is they're very supply inefficient. So if you're supply blocking Jaedong, who wants to be coming out a lot now, it's massively slowing down any pressure that you can be putting on here. It was 3 Overlords for 2 queens. That's an equal resource trade. Overall, 150 minerals for the queen, obviously 100 for the overlords.
Sure.
But the main part of this is just the Jaedong isn't able to pump out as many roaches as quickly as he may like to because of these supply blocks.
Ooh, and some Zerglings actually getting into the natural expansion there. Will be able to pick off one queen very, very quickly. The other one going back towards the mineral line, trying to block on the ramp with a couple of roaches, not able to do that. And the queen inside the main base is looking very close to going down. I think it is going to go down with that second wave of lings. And True is now inside the mineral line of Jaedong, trying to put him off with those Overlord snipes at the start of the game, and it looks like he's piling on the pressure now, Maddles.
He is. He's managed to pick off 6 drones. That means that True has got a nice worker lead, he's got his 3rd base up, and he's got all the information in the world. He knows these roaches are coming. He's able to get ample time to defend against it. He will be down in the upgrades, +1 missile attack just completed for Jaedong, but Defender's advantage can never be underestimated in ZVZ.
Well, to be fair, True needs it right now. +1's completed for Jaedong, right? And he had, I think, 20 roaches to 10 as he started moving out. He's still on 21 to 13. True has to be very careful with what kind of engagement he takes here. He needs to delay it until he can equalize the roach numbers. If he's able to do that, True's currently 44 works for 37, guys. In a mirror matchup situation, that looks pretty good, but he has to survive this fight first.
A couple of additional queens coming on over. Jaedong really overwhelming in terms of the numbers. He's got the +1 missile attack at the moment. But that's about to kick in for True, but those queens are doing a lot.
And unfortunately, well, the +1 missile attack now kicks in. True lost so many roaches, but like you said, Defender's advantage playing perhaps a key role there in getting those reinforcements. You saw how many of those roaches were going so low before the +1 kicked in. And Jaedong still has this lead, of course. He's got +2 on the way now, Maddles, but the numbers are just no longer in his favor. He's simply down 20 supply.
He's leveled out the work account, but he had to go for a big drone wave in order to do that, and he's been down on the income for quite a while prior to that. And that's why we're seeing this supply count discrepancy. It's all in the army supply at the moment. True has got a lot more roaches down. They're level on the missile upgrades. But what they don't have is roach speed, and that's allowing Jaedong to just come and poke in, prod in, try and get damage down where possible. And there's nothing really True can do to respond that. If he moves out, he's hugely committed, because without the roach speed, if he tries to retreat, Jaedong will just chase him down and pick off so many roaches for free.
Yeah, when one side has roach speed and the other one doesn't, it's just such a tricky situation to be. If you don't have speed, either you commit full on, or you say, look, I'm just going to have to defend this for a while. So I completely see where you're coming from here. But in the meantime, the upgrades from Jaedong are getting better and better. Sure, he's down on supply, but the quality of the army he has, Maddles, is really good. How long before Jaedong decides to think about going for a second prod, I wonder?
I don't think he can at the moment. +2's coming through, but look at the roach count. It was 40-odd to 20-odd. It's a massive, massive supply advantage for True. And due to that, +2, while it will be nice, numbers do play a big part.
And I think these numbers are going to be... Okay, so Defender's advantage, guys. Roach is coming out way sooner for Jaedong. That's great. True is trying to stop this by getting Zerglings to reinforce it. So you're going to see these Lings move in now. They're going to try and add so much DPS and just overwhelm Jaedong. +2 missile attacks has been completed, but the battle has already started. Jaedong having to kite back. Numbers currently still in True's favor. He now gets 30 supply ahead. Only 2 queens. I believe the one on the bottom doesn't have a transfuse. No, he doesn't. And Jaedong is simply getting overrun here. Unfortunately, it's just a little too soon for his liking.
GG, and True takes game number 1 of this best of 3, and just everything really going his way. I don't know about you, but I thought skipping speed for Jaedong was a big issue, because so many times those speedlings not only got True a huge amount of information, but they also managed to get good damage down, repeatedly getting into the mineral line, picking off workers here and there. And also, we've got to give special mention to those 2 queens that ventured very far from home for True and picked off many overlords. And that supply block, when you're going for a lot of roaches, is hugely frustrating.
Yeah, and Jaedong being a little bit frustrated, just having a quick glance at his notes there, just double-checking the map choices are correct, if he has anything prepared. We can see we're going to be moving on to Expedition Lost now, which will be our second map of 3. So let's go ahead and take a look once more at the maps chosen for this particular matchup. We, of course, have just finished on Iron Fortress, Dead Pixels True, taking the win there. Expedition lost now. Going to be Jaedong's chance to fight back and avoid a 2-0. But don't forget, this is the winner's match. Even if Jaedong loses this next game, he will have an opportunity to come back. And then, of course, we move on to Echo if the third game is required.
And whoever loses this best of 3 will be facing off against Hyun. So they're going into another ZVZ. And that in itself is going to be quite stressful. True has done well against Hyun previously to this, so that's good news for him. But both of these two definitely wanting the top seed in the group, obviously wanting to get that better seed in the bracket stage, and for the moment it's looking good for True.
So I mean, that game was just really, really excellent from True. He managed to scout the early layer coming out from Jaedong, of course skipping that speed, trying to get to that road speed, trying to get to that early roach push as soon as possible, and then True constantly supply blocking Jaedong, sending those 2 queens out to kill off the overlords. That was just really, really great from him, and then calmly waiting on the defender's advantage, even an upgrade down, and without roach speed to say, look mate, I'm just going to sit here and defend, and say that actually I'm going to have an advantage over you, and Jaedong didn't really have an answer to that. It was just really nice.
The reason the queens could move out as far as well, and maybe why we saw True getting quite so bold with them, is because he saw that Jaedong didn't have Zergling speed, and as a result, it's a lot harder to just quickly nip in and take them out and get away safely. If he had committed any Zerglings across, which of course he wasn't because he was gunning for roaches in the more long term, and he was getting supply blocked repeatedly, it would have been a big commitment. When speed was done for True, he could have picked off those lings if they went for the queens, and all in all, it would have been just a bit more tough for him. But as it stands, 1-0 up at the moment for True. If he wins this game, he moves into the bracket stage, finishing top of the group, which is definitely where he's aiming.
There was split opinion as well, if I remember correctly, on the analyst desk. How did you find being part of the classic banter crew, Maddles? What was your experience?
Quality banter.
Quality banter. Quality.
Quality.
There's no T there.
I can't do
quality.
it. My accent won't let me do that. Quality banter.
The banter was well good, innit?
I can't do it. Definitely can't. But what I can do is talk about the game, because we are jumping into this. So let's see how these 2 players are getting on as we load into Expedition Lost.
That's right, ladies and gents. We're now spawning on Expedition Lost for game number 2 of this best of 3 series. We're spawning in the bottom left-hand position, representing Evil Geniuses, currently 1 game down and needing to win 2 games in a row to guarantee himself a spot in the knockout stages tomorrow. It is Jaedong. He suffered a little bit in that first game against excellent scouting and a well thought out follow-up, constantly supply blocking his opponent. But, of course, that trick has now been used. What has he got up his sleeve on this map? Representing Dead Pixels and 1-0 up. It's True.
Do you know what's 33% better than a 6-pool, Jorazar? A 9-pool.
Isn't that 50% better than a 6-pool?
Technically it is. Okay, you're right.
Bro,
my maths is not good. Never do maths on stream.
Bro.
It's dangerous.
Don't cast with the Asian guy and then talk maths, man.
No, definitely not. But anyway, 9-pool coming down from JD. So this is going to be quite aggressive. He's getting speed as well. The big question right now is, does True go for the hatchery first? He did do it in the last game. It would be more challenging. And yes, down goes this droid. So it's still not the end of the world. If he goes for the hatch first, that's not disastrous. If he goes hatch into a gas, that's when you have a very sad time. So I'm really hoping for True's sake that he goes for that pool first, plays it slightly safer. It is a 2 spawn position map. Don't take too many risks if you know where your opponent's going to be, especially in ZVZ. And, oh no, it's the gas! It's the gas!
Oh dear, he's going gas as well, so this could end up being a little bit of a world of pain, unfortunately. Now, the first lings are out. Is the Overlord going to spot? I think he is. Got just far enough that the lings will be able to cross the vision. And there we go. We see some dots there, and hang on a second. This could end up being a bit tricky. So Jaedong now going for the very quick equalizer in game 2. Can he pull it off?
He's getting the Baneling nest down as well, so Jaedong is really committing to this. Now, it's interesting to point out that the Overlord have seen these Zerglings. You're not ever going to really hide them for that long, but also in True's position, he'd already committed with a hatch first into the gas, so he can't really suddenly go, I needed my spawning pool first. He's already committed to this. The drone micro needs to be fantastic. He's got to be stacking it up, going for little mineral drills, trying to get as much down as possible, and so far he's doing well. Not a single drone lost yet. But look at that spawning pool, it's so far off, and then you've got so long until your first few lings start coming. And Jaedong behind this, more and more and more Zerglings with that Baneling Nest nearly done.
I really love how Jaedong's continuing to be as active with the Zerglings as possible. Guys, it's not actually about killing drones at this point almost. Jaedong is basically saying, hey True, the longer you're not mining, the better this is going to be for me because I can just keep making more lings. And True, I mean, every single drone is now out trying to kill off these Zerglings. There are more coming in. It looks like, oh no, the single Baneling there actually doing a lot of damage as well. And we have a couple more Zerglings on the way. Now, True has his own lings out. He's going to be able to start defending against this, but Jaedong, at the moment, both players have 9 drones, so Jaedong needs to do a little bit more damage. He's a hatchery down.
He is, and the reason we saw all of those drones get pulled by True is because he's trying to prevent the Banelings. He saw the Baneling morphing, realized he's got to pick off as many of these Zerglings as possible, because otherwise he's going to have a very tough time. Even now, going for that Baneling, is he going to be able to get it? No, he doesn't! Oh. And this is really frustrating.
2 hit points on that Baneling, and it's going to magically become full health as we potentially move back in to this mineral line. And the Lings are just going to have to come in and try and force the cancels everywhere now. They're going to have to sacrifice themselves to kill off these Banelings as Jaedong continues to put the aggression on. It is not game over. Zergling's speed is halfway done. Can our Evil Geniuses player continue and finish the job here? So close with those drones. That Baneling is patiently waiting. He wants to kill off the Ling. He does successfully do so, and that's going to be good enough. Jaedong equalizes and brings the series back to level pegging at 1-1.
9 pool. Brave move when you've got to be going there, but very, very nicely executed there by Jaedong. True, his defense is pretty solid. The Baneling follow-up, it's just so difficult to deal with, and really the opening for True couldn't have been much worse for him. Going hatch into a gas up against 9 pool is pretty much the worst you could.
Yep, that was just a sensible thing to do there from Jaedong, anticipating that True was going to continue to go into that macro play. And as a result, we are indeed going to be going into a 3rd map on Echo. And I think, I guess the one thing that's useful to highlight at the very end of that game is how Jaedong had the patience and the discipline to say, hang on a second, I don't want to be using this Baneling against these workers. They're really juicy, I'm kind of in amongst them, but really, once these Lings go down, that's when I win the game. So he was very patient, constantly microing the Baneling around, managed to get his opponent's Zerglings, and at that point, True just has to tap out.
Exactly. It's the right decision making, and that's someone with Jaedong's experience is going to know exactly what to do then. But we're going to be going into Echo next. So we do have the maps coming up for you, anyone who missed the first 2. We did have True take Iron Fortress. He played some very, very nice games there, using Speedlings effectively, using 2 Hero Queens really well to supply block Jaedong, who was looking for that +1 Roach play. Just great stuff. Game 2, Jaedong with that 9 pool we just saw. And it was a risky move, but if you've got it in your back pocket, if you know that you can go for something very aggressive, maybe once in a series, why not do it when
you have to just really commit yourself and go completely all in with that kind of play. You saw that at one point, I mean, the players had 9, like if you just look at the situation, the players have 9 workers each. It looks really close, but then don't forget that True has that extra hatchery. If you don't go that extra mile, get that Baneling Nest and try and make sure you finish the job there and then, well, there isn't really a situation where you say, okay guys, aggression's over, let's just go back and macro up. No, your opponent has another hatchery. You can't do that, man. So Jaedong doing all the right things there, and the aggression did pay off. And on map 3 now, on Echo Metals, I mean, with so much on the line here, now that there's actually a space in the top 8 available for the winner of this series, are we going back into a longer game? It's hard for me to think that Jaedong would do that twice.
I don't think Jaedong will go for another 9 pool, but I think regardless, True is going to have to be just a little bit more cautious. We're not going to be seeing a hatch first into a gas. He might still decide to try and go for the hatch first, although on Echo your natural base is quite opened up. It's not too fun. Obviously it's a 2 spawn position map as well, so I wouldn't be that surprised to see both players just playing it a bit cautiously, which naturally can lead you getting into the later stages of the game anyway, if you're both sitting back making sure you're not going to lose to anything outright. But if they do lose, it's not the end of the world. You go up against Hyun, which arguably isn't the greatest time you're going to have in that loser's bracket, but it means you're not out yet.
That's a tough match, but we don't know which one of these players is going to face him yet. Ladies and gents, we're in Echo for the 3rd and final game of this best-of-3 series that will determine who goes through to the elimination bracket tomorrow. Spawning in the top left position, representing Evil Geniuses, winning game number 2 with the 9 pool Baneling. It is Jaedong. There's like one person in the audience who claps really, really loudly, and because of the headsets, I can hear them so much louder than everyone else, and I have to really strain to realize, oh, it's actually everyone clapping, it's all right. But go you, whoever you are. Spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the blue Zerg player representing Dead Pixels, winning that longer game in game number 1. Is he going to be able to pull this one out of the bag and get it over the line? It's true. I see him. It's that guy. It's that guy. He's smiling. He's waving. He knows who he is. Nice try, buddy.
Now, these two aren't committing to anything super early now, and that comes as no surprise to me. It's the third game in a best-of-3 tied 1-1.
Yeah.
Not going to be pulling out super risks. I'll be surprised if... Oh, no, they're both going to go... Okay, no. Jaedong goes for the spawning pool. True is going to be going for the hatch first, though. Again, I think he'll be hatch into pool, though. If he goes hatch gas, he is a much braver man than I.
This is going to be a kind of map that has a really fun kind of mid-game here, because at the end of the day, if you take a look at the paths the Overlords are going for out in the middle of the map, there are lots of little ramps and lots of fun side routes all around the maps that small Zergling armies, a couple of roaches, I mean, of course, you have your standard, like, Mutalisk can fly everywhere, but on the ground, there are just so many different places where you can mount a counterattack where you're saying, hang on a second, I wonder if you can actually see this from the air. And that just makes Echo a very, very dynamic map once we get into the mid-game. So I'm really eager to see if one of these players is going to be doing that an awful lot, say, past the 9-minute mark.
Well, True has proved me well and truly wrong. He's gone for a hatch into a gas into the pool, so he's going to be going for some early tech. Very brave. Not phased at all by Jaedong going for that 9 pool in the previous game. He's clearly not expecting it twice in a row. Meanwhile, Jaedong just grabbing up that hatchery now. He's just chilling, having a nice time. Got his gas as well, but he's only just started that, so good lead in the Vespian income for True means he's going to be able to get it. Oh, no, sorry, I take that back. Jaedong got the gas a bit sooner, so he's got the speed already started.
Yep.
Now, I'm glad Jaedong isn't skipping the Zergling speed this time, because in game number 1, I think that really was a bit of a Achilles heel for him. It allowed True to get so much information, it allowed True to be so dominant out on the map, but gas has been pulled now by Jaedong. We may be seeing a lot of speedlings come out of him.
Yeah, it looks he might be going for something aggressive once again here. We have no Zergling speed on the way just yet for True. Oh, pardon me, there we go, just started, and cancelled. And cancelled as well in the same instant, so important to note that there. And let's see what Jaedong opts to do with his Zergling speed. Still about half done, and he is indeed going for that aggression. 8 more lings on the way, Maddles, so he wants to end this very quickly.
Now, these speedlings are going to be really effective, because for True, he doesn't have creep far enough to be able to wall off that ramp with Evo chambers and stuff. So mounting a defense to this is going to be very interesting. Wow, True's actually going for a third hatch already.
Oh man, that could be very risky for him as well. And look, the Queen's once again trying to shepherd the Overlords out of the way. Now remember what I was saying about the Overlords possibly being out of position because there are so many paths on this map? Well, there's one path you can't get out of, and that's the one in your natural expansion coming out. And that's the one place that True has the Overlord where he's saying, okay, I know exactly what's coming in now. All hands on deck. I'm going to have to defend for my life right now. And well, everything's on the line. This is going to get pretty tense.
Already we've got the Queens walling this off. They're trying to prevent the speedlings going up into the main base, but there's not too much there. There's a couple of Zerglings behind them, trying to hold on as long as possible. Third Queen trying to come across. Behind this, Jaedong is pumping nothing but more speedlings. He is committing hugely to this.
So this is doing very well. I mean, all 3 of the Queens are going to go down, and the Lings are now going to be... And once they get into the main base and are able to surround the probes, I mean, even with Metabolic Boost about to finish up for True, I think this is going to be a very, very tough position for him to recover from. Doing some good micro with the drones there, but I don't think it'll be enough. He's dropped down to under 20 supply, and the Tyrant himself, Jaedong, ladies and gentlemen, looks to be on course for his spot in the round of 8.
This was a bold move by Jaedong, but it worked out perfectly. True being so greedy, and there's the GG. Jaedong is able to take this series 2-1 after that initial loss.
And Jaedong's going to be feeling pretty. Look at that, a smile from Jaedong, guys. That's not something you see every day. And he is feeling pretty happy about that right now. 2 very, very risky moves there. And going for hyper-aggression in game number 2. Also very aggressive in game 3. I think he knows he got away with it just a little bit as well, because at the end of the day, no, there wasn't an early pull, but that speedling all in there, well, True just wasn't prepared for it. Cancelling his own speed, going for the third hatch, all of those decisions just going against the strategy that Jaedong employed.
I like that little smile from Jaedong there as well. He's just there going, I went for 2 cheeky builds and I got 2 cheeky wins. But JVZ, he knows that he can do it, he's confident in his abilities, and it really paid off for him. Would you say that True as maybe just being a little bit greedy overall?
Oh, you know what? That certainly is suggested by his play style there. I mean, trying to go for that after a 9 pull as well, thinking, okay, we must be going back into macro now. Probably a thing, but we'll leave that one to the analyst desk. Guys, what do you think of that best of 3 series, and what happened at the end? Could the result have been different?
Well, thanks for that, guys. That was a quick one. When I blink and you miss it, you'll be familiar with that. But anyway, we'll come over to Calvin.
You've got him now. You've got him.
Yeah, I've done it. You were predicting, you didn't have a good feeling about Jaedong. You thought True was going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've been proven wrong.
I myself, like, my prediction was, like, I feel perfectly phrased because, like, I was saying I think True wins, but I would love Jaedong to advance, so I'm right either way. Like, I'm getting something out of it, No, but, like, just said, like, I super happy for Jaedong. I really thought that True would like win it, and especially after the first map. I mean, that first map where we just like saw True march over him with the roaches, it was really good by True. And then Jaedong comes back. Bit of a cheesy entrance there, map number 2, map number 3 there, but yeah, he does what he needs to do to win. And third map also, that Ling attack, we've seen that around for a long time. Hyun was playing that ages ago already, still works, still good, and he just played that very well and was saying, okay, I'm going to take you down early on, and he did.
Well, I was going to bring up the C word, of course referring to cheese. And I thought maybe you might be able to shed some light. I mean, Jaedong...
He's an expert.
Yeah. Jaedong, not really known for that, is he?
He's known for being decisive. And like in Zerg versus Zerg, there's 3 build orders that you rotate through. And depending on which one you do, it can be like an economic opening, it can be a safe opening, or it can be that cheesy, I'm going to kill you opening. And Jaedong, you have to be a master of all of them. And he was a true master of this matchup. So the fact that he can just cycle through each one and just do it very decisively and know how to do it, like, yeah, he's just a real killer, man. He's a real killer.
Well, we've got the end of game 1. We can bring that up for you now so you can see how this one went. We'll get to see some of that killing potential here.
I mean, at that point, you could already see there's a 40 supply army lead that we have for True, and that upgrade for Jaedong just comes through here in the fight itself, but even like 1 or 2 seconds too late. And this is just a numbers game, and you can't win that anymore at this point. There's just way too many roaches for True, and yeah, he takes it there.
And at this point in the series, it kind of looked a bit grim for Jaedong. It's like you beat the foreigner of the group, cool, and that guy's got knocked out now, but now you're against some big hard-hitting Zerg players, and losing the first game of the series, it's always kind of like, it's a bit dicey, especially when it's a bit of a macro game. But yeah, he managed to come right back into it and did what he did well. He's got really good Zergling control. Like when you think of your good Zergling micro players, you think of Life. But Jaedong, he's definitely up there too. And in the ZVZ matchup, yeah, I'm really impressed by Jaedong's play, and the fact that he has been in somewhat of a slump recently. To see him come back into a tournament and take out pretty top end players like True. I'm looking forward to see what he can bring to this tournament. I
mean, we've been talking about the first map and like just about his attitude in general, and he was sitting in the booth and you could really tell that he didn't really look all too confident. It was not really Jaedong that usually just shows
holding his head and stuff.
Exactly, like everything. He really looked like, okay, he feels the pressure there too. The last time was at Gfinity, didn't go well for him, and as Ben just said, he beat a foreigner here, but that is like we have Showtime already out of the tournament, and I loved that cheeky smile at the end of the best of 3 series where he was just looking in the camera.
He's like,
not smiling yet. Should I? Start smiling a little bit, stands up, looks into the other camera.
It was a little bit cheeky, wasn't it?
It was really good.
So we've got the end of game 2 here as well now, which you can see how this one was closed out. This is where Jaedong obviously came back into it. So again, just talk us through what's happening.
This was nice micro, by the way, just keeping the Baneling alive, but all his Zerglings alive too. And when Zerglings are low health, morphing into a Baneling, they regain full HP, so that's a big deal. On a map like this, True went for a pretty darn fast expand, and the mineral income that you get early on, because the minerals are so badly placed on this map, like just by map design, your hatchery actually comes up quite a bit later. So going for an aggressive build like this from Jaedong, definitely a map that you should and can get away with it on. And here, this Baneling, it's going to get, that was a hit and a half. And here, 17 supply against 8.
GG.
Yeah, GG right there, Richard.
So, what's going through your mind there if you're True? Because it's that's like you say, it's a little bit of a cheat. Do you get frustrated when that happens?
Yes, but it happens so often in your pro gaming life, day-to-day basis. You play 40 games in a day. If you get cheese in 10 of them, It's cool, you know, you're used to these things happening. Yes, in a tournament environment, it kind of sucks, especially when you've won the first game via macro, and then you lose to Cheese twice in a row. That could also be, like, the fact that Jaedong was kind of like, should I smile? Like,
yeah, I think that tells you everything.
Did I really deserve to win these games? And, like, of course he did, because he did win them, but, yeah.
Then again,
I mean, sorry, go on.
Yeah, like in the game that we just saw, you know, if he defends against that one Baneling or deflects that somehow, gets a queen out, then suddenly it's a completely different game. With the queen there on the low ground, if that gets through, then he has a really good tool at defending additional Banelings, and he's already on 2 bases. So for Jaedong, I mean, that was also a huge gamble, and that's something that you have to be willing to take.
The Cheese debate rages on, doesn't it? You know, I wish Idra was here to tell us what he thought about it. That would have been brilliant. But you remember him, right?
I do remember Israel, yeah. I remember not cheesing him a few times, yeah.
So we've got the way that the series ended here for you, the third game, how it came to a close. We'll just bring that up for you now. And again, Caldo, just talk us through what's going on here.
Yeah, that was when he cut workers really early in the game at 15 and just produced a massive amount of speedlings. And yeah, True just didn't see it coming. He was trying to block the ramp with his 2 queens and a few additional lings. He didn't get the 3rd queen up there in time. The energy on the queens was low, and once you are through the ramp, you are in a perfect position there. You can see how True is trying to get 16 Zerglings into the game in his own speed upgrade, but there's just way too many units for Jaedong already. And this is just this play where you go for a massive amount of speedlings, you get them early in the game, you cut the worker production, and in this case, he gets right into the mineral line, and there's just nothing that True can do at this moment anymore. If he holds that ramp, if he gets the energy for an inject, holds it a bit longer until his own forces are there, maybe as a shot, but like this was perfect timing from Jaedong, and as Ben already said earlier, very decisive strategy from him, and he went for the river.
Well, we can talk to him directly, actually.
We can, eh?
Yeah, well, not we. I mean, we're kind of the puppet masters pulling the strings, but we've actually got James Banks with Jaedong now, so we'll go over to him. James, tell us how Jaedong is feeling. How is the Donger?
Well, I hope he's feeling pretty well. Thank you for that, Richard. Jaedong, let's start with this straight away. Just coming off a win. How are you feeling about that? You're looking pretty calm and composed right now.
이번 경기를 이겼는데 좀 엄청 차분한 모습을 보여주는 것 같은데 어떤 기분인지? 굉장히 기쁘고 지난 대회에서 조별리그에서 탈락해서 이번에는 그 8강까지 가고 싶었는데 1위로 올라가게 돼서 너무 기쁩니다. I'm really happy, and last time at Gfinity I wasn't able to advance in the group phase, so my goal this time was to advance to the round of 8, and now I'm through as the first place, so I'm really happy about that.
Well, now big thing here for Jaedong is he's a big fan favourite, probably the most out of any player I can think of. What's it going to take now for him to come back and win a major event, or potentially this event right now? What does he feel he needs to do?
엄청 팬들이 항상 응원한 선수 중 하나가 이제 이재동 선수 분이신데 이번에 우승을 하려면 어떤 각오랑 어떤 마인드로 이제 게임을 해야 될 것 같아요? 원래 뭐 제가 그 별로 그 실력이 별로 안 좋았을 때도 항상 대회 나올 때는 자신감을 가지고 나왔고 이번에도 뭔가 좀 더 준비 기간이 좀 더 필요하다고 생각은 하지만 부족하다고 생각하지만 그래도 항상 저는 우승할 거라는 자신감을 가지고 있습니다. So at every tournament, even when I'm not in a good shape, I always try to have the confidence. and always have the confidence to win. So I think it's really important also in this tournament to have the confidence and to push it through with that confidence.
Well, let's hope he does have that confidence going forward. We're going to head it straight back to the analyst desk, over to Richard and the guys. Thank you, Jaedong.
It's interesting because he's talking about confidence there, but he's a little bit cheeky, isn't he? Is that just because of the nature of how we won, or is this a new kind of look to Jaedong's demeanour?
I'm not sure, you know, like when...
I thought you would be sure, you know him better than us.
Well, I do know him, but you know, the Korean and the language barrier and such, like there is one there. But that being said, like when Jaedong used to go to tournaments and he was finishing top 2, just used to kind of walk around, it was like the air of Jaedong, you know, like I really felt that he was confident. And here, the fact that, yeah, even after the first game, he didn't seem like this beast, this tyrant behind the monitor, sat there ready to take on the next game. He really looked flustered. He really was like kind of rubbing his hair a little bit, looked very down actually, despite like, you know, you've still got the rest of the series to play. That being said, like as negative as I am being, he did come back and he just chose to win. So yeah, but I like there is still a little bit missing from him. There is still something
maybe
missing.
He needs a new nickname. Maybe the Tyrant is over. We need a new nickname. Maybe that's what we need.
No.
We're not ready for that.
You don't just replace the Tyrant, you know.
All right, well, you know, just an idea, guys. Like, that's all.
Horrible idea.
Yeah,
Stick to hosting.
Yeah, let's all just relax. We've all had a drink. All right, no need to get angry. That's a joke. No,
It's like you want to rename God. That doesn't work either.
But look, anyway, it was great to get your thoughts as well, Caldor. Obviously, you're going to be casting the next game. Is that right? Or,
Yeah, I'm going to cast the next one with Tarstem.
Have fun with that, and obviously, Ben, you're going nowhere. You are chained to that seat. Just before we do go to a quick break, I just want to remind you all that we've got a competition running at the moment, which you'll be able to see on the bottom of your screens. It is for obviously our partners, Green Man Gaming. All you need to do is follow at Gfinity and at Green Man Gaming on Twitter, then tweet using hashtag SCMasters for a chance to win one of 5 games. And again, it's easy peasy. We can't do it actually. We're not allowed.
Wow.
I know, but we could show you how it's dead simple, honestly. It really is good. So anyway, thanks a lot for your thoughts, guys. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be bringing you yet another game, so don't go too far.